So today's lesson is still on rounding, but we're going to look at rounding to significant figures now instead of decimal places. There's a lot of similarities, but there are a couple of subtle differences which we will address. And what we've got to get done today is understand what is meant by rounding to 1, 2, or 3 significant figures, and understanding what significant figures are and whether zeros are significant or not. So let's begin. Rich woman decides to count up her money. She's a multimillionaire. She's got savings of £6,725,000. A newspaper wants to do an article on the woman, but they don't have enough space in the headline. So they want to use an approximate amount instead. They don't want to put all the figures. They just want to say roughly what she's got. So we want to know what figure would they use. What's the most significant figure in this amount of money? What's the most important one? Is it how many thousands of pounds she's got? How many tens of thousands? How many hundreds of thousands? Or is it how many millions? Which one gives us the best idea of how big the number is? Hopefully you can understand that the millions is the most important. The biggest amount she's got is the most important. It's the biggest contributor to how much she's got. Okay, these millions are much bigger than all the thousands she's got. So if they want to use an approximate figure, are they going to say about 6 million or about 7 million? Which is it closer to? So hopefully you realize that's closer to 7 million. It's only 275,000 away compared to 725,000 away from 6 million. So she's got £7 million to one significant figure. One SF is the abbreviation for one significant figure. You could also round the amount of money she got to 2 significant figures if you wanted to give a little bit more detail. So this is her exact amount of money. The second most significant figure, so after the millions, which is the most significant or important, the next most significant or important is going to be the hundreds of thousands, because that's the next biggest amount. So that means that if we're looking at this one, her money is between 6,700,000 and 6,800,000. Which is it closer to? Hopefully you realize it's closer to 6,700,000 because that 2, the next digit, is lower than a 5. This is what's similar to what we were doing yesterday. If this number, the next number along, is lower than a 5, we round the whole number down. If that number is bigger than a 5, we round the whole number up. So it's going to be 6,700,000. So let's have a look at 3 significant figures now. So the third most significant figure, so the first most significant figure is 6 million, the millions, then the 100,000s, and the next is going to be the tens of thousands. You just keep working your way down the place value columns for the next significant figure and the next one and the next one. So it's between 6,720,000 and 6,730,000, which is it closer to. So again, have a look at the next number. The next number is a 5. If you remember from yesterday, when the next number is exactly a 5 and it's exactly halfway between, you round up. So 6,730,000. Okay, so there's a few here to try out. So what I want you to do now is pause the video, and then I will go through the answers after you've unpaused the video. So pause the video now. Okay, so let's check some answers. So 2 significant figures. So I'm just going to use, it's between 58,000 and 59,000, and it's closer to 58,000. 3 significant figures, so I'm going to use the first 3. It's between 155,000 and 156,000. It's closer to 156,000 because this number is bigger than the 5. 1 significant figure, so it's between 3,000 and 4,000. It's closer to 4,000 because that's an 8. three significant figures, 1, 2, 3. So it's between 2,390, 2,400. It's closer to 2,400. We had to round this 9 up because the 7 was bigger, but when you round the 9 up, it's got a knock-on effect. It knocks up the next number as well. And this one, two significant figures, so between 35,000 and 36,000, and because of the size of that number, it is 36,000 that is closer to. So hopefully you got those right. Looking at the next thing, we're going to look at decimal numbers. So you might think, well, if you got a decimal number, you'd round to a number of decimal places, but not always. Sometimes you could round to a number of significant figures, because you might have lots of different decimals of all different sorts of lengths, and you just want a number for each of them. You don't want to say how many places along we should look. You just want a number for them, so you just say a significant figure. So if we look at the fourth most significant figure, so the hundreds, the tens, the units, the fourth one is going to be the tenths. So which is it between? It's between 723.6 and 723.7, because the next numbers are 5, we round up to 723.7. Okay, so if we look at this next one, we want to put the arrow over the third most significant figure. So the 4 in the units column is the most, the second most, the third most. So because this is a 9, it's that same problem I talked about before about when you try to round up a 9, it rounds up to 4.80 rather than 4.79. What's important you do is you put the 0 in there. You might think, well, I'm just going to put 4.8 because it's the same number and it's shorter and simpler. But it's important that you put the 0 on the end because it shows we've rounded to three significant figures. We've got 1, 2, 3 numbers in our answer. Okay, if you put 4.8, it looks like two significant figures. Right, so next, have a look at these ones. You can pause the video again and have a go, but remember to show all your significant zeros because we're talking with decimal numbers now. Even if the exact value is the same, you should be putting the right amount of zeros on the end to show you've rounded it to the right number of significant figures. So pause it now, have a go, and I'll go through the answers. Okay, so this first one is going to be 6.2 because the 3 is a number smaller than 5. Then three significant figures. Well, I'm still in the whole numbers here. I'm going to be between 661 and 662, and it's closer to 662. One significant figure, so that means it's between 3 and 4. It's closer to 3. Three significant figures, so 1, 2, 3. That 9 is going to round up because of the 5. So I'm going to put 39.0. I need to put in that 0 because it shows I've rounded to the right number of significant figures. And then four significant figures, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this one's more complicated again because this is going to round up, which is going to round up this one, and it's going to be 5.900 because it's going to round. Think about that as 899 rounding up to 900. Okay, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers for the four significant figures. Okay, hopefully you got those right. Next, so four significant figures. Let's have a look at how to do this one. So if we move the arrow over the fourth significant figure, first, second, third, fourth. Okay, so because this is a 2, we don't round up, we round down. So we're going to forget about these decimal parts. It's closer to 3.000. And it seems really silly to put in all those zeros when it's just 3. But again, four significant figures, 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers in our answer. Okay, so you can put 4 significant figures in brackets and it shows that fact as well. If you just put down 3, it might look like you've just guessed rather than done anything accurate. Right. So there are cases where some numbers aren't significant. You might look at this one and think 4 significant figures, 1, 2, 3, 4, but these don't have any value. Okay, some zeros at the end can have value because if you've got a 1 followed by 2 zeros, that could be £100, which is a lot more than just a 1 with a 1 0 on the end, meaning £10. But if you've got zeros at the start, they don't have any meaning. If I put 0, 1, 0, that's £10. Or if I put 1, 0, that's still just £10. So we don't start counting significant figures until we get to an actual number with a value. So the leading zeros don't count. We're going to start counting when we get to a number that has an actual value, something that's not 0. So the first one here is 2. Then you can count on. So this is the first significant figure because these don't count. Second, third, fourth. So it's between these two numbers. And because that's a 7, we're going to round up and we're going to make that one a 6. Okay? And we've got written 4 significant figures, and you might think, well, there's more than 4 numbers in the answer, but the zeros at the start don't count, remember? So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Last thing we've got is beat the clock. Have a go at this, see how many you can get right. I'll set you a nice and easy score by just going very slowly and talking through it. But one significant figure is going to be 8,000. 700 for this one. So it doesn't start now until we get to the first one. So it's going to be the 8, 3, and a 2. That 3 is not going to round anything up. So it's going to be 0.000832. This one, same thing. I'm not going to count these first 3 zeros, but this is going to round up to 0.00734. Zero point zero 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 849. That one I'm using the exact full number because there are only 3 numbers there. 0.0006 because a 0 afterwards isn't going to round anything up. That's closer to 400. This one is going to be 5241000 because it's closer to that because of the 6. See if I can just get to 10 in the time I've got. Oops, I've clicked one and I didn't do it. So 65000 and 0.000744. I'm going to use all of that one because there's only 3 significant figures. And I'll leave that as we've got 10. 10 right there. See if you can beat 10. If you can, let me know in the chat. Otherwise, hopefully you know enough now to do the homework. Okay? So that's everything.